Welcome to the Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with your host, Charlie Butler. This is where you'll learn to sell your home quickly and for more money. And now, the host of the Real Estate Show, the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. This is the Charlie Butler Show. Charlie Butler Real Estate Show, I should say, even though we're going to talk about other things besides real estate today.
Well, sure.
Here with me, as she is every Sunday, my co-host, Evie Barr.
Good morning, Charlie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Evie. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. Plan on having a relaxing Sunday afternoon.
You know, I didn't get a chance to tell you off the air, so I'll just tell you on the air since I really don't have any secrets. But you know, I have guests scheduled for like 4 weeks now. I mean, we're not scrambling around for guests.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What exciting things do you have coming up?
Well, of course, today we've got, here in a few minutes, we got Lucas Corley,
Yes.
the play-by-play guy for the Evansville Otters.
Yes.
And next week, we've got Dave Herman, who is one of the top real estate investors in the area. And Dave's really going to talk about how to get started in real estate investing. You know, I know you being in the mortgage business, you hear that all the time
Yes.
about people wanting to know how they get started. And they see the shows on TV.
Yes.
And they think, okay, this is the way it is, and we're going to, kind of, dispel maybe a few of those myths,
Yes.
next week.
Yes.
And then I think the week after, we've got Stacy Stevens, who is head of the president of the Area Planning Commission.
Yes.
And also owns Landmark Realty. And then the week after that, I've been busy. See?
You have been busy.
We've got this one. We've got Dana Bugg, who is the Indiana sales director for Jago Homes.
Oh, that's exciting.
So-
Because we all know Jago's big in the area, and they've got a lot of really nice subdivisions.
You know, people outside the area, I don't think or inside the area realize it. But Jago, the last I saw, is the 6th largest home builder in the United States.
I did not realize
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Which I know they're in our area, and they extend to Kentucky.
they do like now, and I may miss some here, but like Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green,
Okay.
and my team has sold them land over the years here for subdivisions locally, and I mean they're always in the market. So I mean they've got the infrastructure where they can they could go out a long way.
Right.
So
Right.
So what's how's the market as far as mortgages go?
For mortgages, it's great. People are getting out and looking and still buying and wanting to be pre-approved, which is what I'm here for. A lot of applications still coming in, looking at all sorts of programs. I can't really say that I specialize in one loan in particular because constantly I have someone coming in for a USDA loan or a VA or FHA or just conventional financing. So here lately, I've had some interesting deals where maybe they started out with one mortgage lender, and for whatever reason, that mortgage lender was not able to get done. But, they wound up coming in to us to see if we had a solution, and Waterstone was able to make it happen. So kind of fun to see that happening.
And no, that's great. And so, how much? I mean, we've still got way more buyers than we have sellers right now.
Yes.
So, how much has that impacted? Do you have a lot of people that you've pre-approved that just can't find a house?
Yes, that happens constantly, and a lot of times people like to submit a pre-approval letter or pre-qualification letter with their purchase agreement, so their seller knows that they've already started their application process on the financing. And whenever I get calls about those pre-qualification letters, my customers will tell me, we know there's multiple offers coming in on this house. So there's still a lot of bidding wars going on. What are you seeing in the market?
Well, and I was quickly, I'll say, but I wanted to follow up on something. This is part of what I'm seeing. Something that Evie said about the pre-approval, pre-qualification letter. With as many buyers are out there, as many more buyers as there are sellers, it's really, really important to go see Evie or a mortgage professional right now before you want to put an offer in on a house.
Right.
I know a lot of realtors that don't, they won't show you a house.
Yes.
Without a pre-approval letter or pre-qualification letter because right now, I mean, I saw someone in our office that I think I've disclosed before. I'm partners in the local Keller Williams office also, but I've seen this a few times actually, where people had a higher offer, no pre-approval letter. They had an approval letter, pre-approval letter, and they took a couple $1,000s less.
Yes.
For the certainty of having that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And Waterstone Mortgage, we offer a platinum pre-approval. And what that is if a buyer calls me and they say, we know we've got to hop on a house fast, and they want to make sure that everything's taken care of, we can go ahead and collect their documentation for the underwriting process, submit to the underwriter, get the underwriter's essentially conditional approval, and that way, whenever the buyer finds the house, all we need is the appraisal and the title work. So really, we can get them to closing faster than waiting until they have the house and starting the process then.
So how long does this platinum pre-approval normally take?
Normal underwriting times are about 48 hours, two or 3 days. It varies depending on what their workload is. And a pre-approval is generally good for 90 to 120 days.
Now, those out there, and I know we run into this on our end too, in working with you, and where Evie will call me and say, hey, I can get these people pre-approved, but there's more documentation I need. If you're looking to buy a house, you need to get, the documentation that your mortgage professional asks for. If you go to Evie and she says, gives you a list, you really need to provide that, because it's not just because she's nosy. Well, she is, but that's another story. The people that are underwriting the loan that are actually going to, they're going to fund the house.
Yes.
They require this information before they go any farther.
Yes. And I have customers that get offended by how much documentation my underwriters require. But what the client has to understand, the underwriter doesn't know them from Adam. The underwriter is very black and white. There can be no gray. Everything has to be in writing. They have to cover themselves for the lender. And there were a lot of changes that came after the market crashed. And it's not that it's tougher to get a mortgage now, because it's really not. They just want all the documentation, making sure all of the information is correct and that underwriter is making the right decision in approving the loan.
And for some that tried to get a mortgage shortly after the crash in 08, 09, 2010, even up to 2011, that it as Evie just said, it was tough right in there. It was much tougher during that period, but it has loosened up considerably.
Yes. It's they're just covering themselves, and
there's more documentation there was, 10 years ago, but the process is honestly not that much different as far as, they approve, they do what they can to approve people.
Yes. And Waterstone really does work to get a buyer their home. Maybe it's not just some simple, easy, straightforward, conventional loan with 20% down. We're willing to work if it makes sense for the client. I don't ever want to put someone in a bad situation by any means. And I actually told someone this past week that was looking at a house, I said, I want to make sure it's the right investment for you, that if something goes wrong with the house, you're going to be able to cover any repairs, whether it's a furnace going out or needing a new stove. But with the entire loan process, it is so important to have a loan officer that's upfront, tells you what they need right off the bat, because every loan is different, but honestly, the documentation is usually all of the same. So have someone that asks for something up front, has the experience, and is willing to do the work for you and get it done as quickly as possible.
And for those of you that just tuned in, that's Evie Barr from Waterstone Mortgage, my lovely co-host, and you are listening to the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. Evie, how can they reach you?
If someone would like to talk to me about a mortgage, they can call me at 812-463-3199, or they can shoot me an email at ebar@waterstonemortgage.com.
And I'm not gonna talk. I talk every week about we need to list. We don't have enough listings. We need listings. Just list your house, okay? We got way more buyers. We got listings. Call me at 812-499-7758 or 812-430-1708, and we'll get your house sold. I mean, it's as the promos before the show. If we can't sell it, we'll buy it. And so just call me at 812-499-7758, and I'll tell you about the many programs that we have. Evie, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We away from real estate and into one of our community's great assets, and the Evansville Otters.
Yes.
And it's almost time again for that. And today we have Lucas Corley, who is the play-by-play broadcaster for the Evansville Otters, or the radio voice of the Evansville Otters, put it that way. Lucas, great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Like you said, season is right around the corner, and you're talking about real estate. I think we've got the best house in the neighborhood, Bossy Field. 102 years of history, and like you said, it's a great asset for the community.
You got the oldest house in the neighborhood.
That's right. And if you can't sell it, you're going to buy it, right?
Wow, he called you out on that
got
one.
Me on that one. Okay, Lucas, we're trying to help you out here. That's been Lucas Corley, folks. No. So, Lucas, we were talking off the air. Season, as we said, is almost here. So we got exhibition game coming up.
May 5th, yeah.
May 5th.
And you might have seen the billboards around town. It'll be our annual benefit game for Jacobs Village. So that one set for May 5th, 6:35 start. And that's part of a few exhibitions we'll play. We actually have one exhibition out in Florence the day before. We play that first home exhibition on May 5th, and then we're going to Southern Illinois the next day for some exhibitions there. The first 2 weeks before the season really starts off. Unfortunately, even though we're Frontier League champions, don't get to start off at home this year. Regular season, we actually do start off on the road at Southern Illinois. We actually play them a lot in exhibitions just because of the geography of it all.
So close to each other, yeah. So I know Frontier League champions. What's the team look like this year?
Well, they always say on paper we should be able to win it all again. But I know you being a Cardinals fan, me being a Cubs fan, and we're finding out the Cubs, as good as they looked last year, having trouble with that as well. But same thing. I mean, I think looking at the roster, we have a lot of great returners. I mean, our MVP, Josh Allen, our second baseman, he'll be back on the team. Our Frontier League Championship Series MVP, Hunter Ackerman, our pitcher, he'll be returning. So you get these pieces back, and it's going to be fun. But 96 games, they play it for a reason, and hopefully that ends up in back-to-back. It's been done several times in the Frontier League, and it all just comes down to, can you get yourself in the playoffs, and then at that point, can you finish off strong?
I was thinking this morning driving over here. I can only think of one off the top of my head, and maybe I know this is your first year with the Otters. So how many Otters have made it to the majors?
Well, we have quite a few here, and looking down in front of me.
I remember George Sherrill
and Andrew Warner are the two that we've had make it all the way to the majors. And George Sherrill pitched in the All-Star game for the Seattle Mariners.
And then he pitched and then he closed for Baltimore for several years.
Correct.
Too.
Yes. Yeah. And the one thing too is that's people don't realize sometimes. They ask me, well, what is the Frontier League? Is that affiliated? We're an independent ball club, so when you think about single A, double A, triple A, we're outside of that. We're a developmental league, and our goal is to send these players to play affiliated ball.
Right.
We'd love to stack them up and keep winning championship after championship, and hopefully we can still do that with the talent that we find. But you want to find these players and send them out to eventually follow. We were called the League of Dreams, the Frontier League, where you can still follow that dream. Now, granted, we do have an age cap at 27. We don't want 40-year-old guys coming out there trying to still follow that dream. But yeah, and that's fun. We even had our closer Randy McCurry sign with the Cubs in this offseason. So still trying to send those players on to play affiliated ball.
Okay, great. And so besides being a play-by-play guy, you're also heavily involved in promotions, in sales for the Otters. So really, I mean, at this level, you wear a lot of hats.
Jack of all trades, master of none, I guess. But, I think the one thing that's nice, and, as you mentioned, my first year with the Otters is getting to be out in the community like I am right now and just meeting with all these different clients, and whether or not they end up doing something with us or not, just getting to meet the different people and saying, hey, I know that maybe this year you don't want to do any kind of sponsorship with us, but we still want you to come out to the field, maybe make it to a game or two, because as you kind of said at the beginning, it is part of the community. There's a reason that Evansville kind of has this love affair with baseball. It's the third oldest ballpark in America behind Wrigley and Fenway, the oldest active minor league park.
Right.
And, even if you go out for a high school game, people don't realize this. I just found this out the other day. We have the automated scoreboard out there, the electronic scoreboard. But when you come to an Otters game, to keep that historic field, we put up an old scoreboard over that and keep it by hand manually, just to keep that old-time feel. And I think that's the one thing that's nice, is getting to meet people that say, oh, I remember when the Triplets were in town, or, oh, yeah, I've been an Otters fan since they first got here. And actually, as many people mention the Triplets, the Otters are now the longest tenured team for baseball in Evansville history. So 21 years. This will be our 21st season, 25th season for the league, and, of course, as I mentioned, 102nd year for Bosse Field.
I was reading, it's been some time ago, but about the old Triple I League, which goes way back, and Warren Spahn played in Evansville. So for those, a Hall of Famer, and Ralph Kiner played here. Yeah, and supposedly, the way the urban legend goes, the Crawford Garage Door building across the street, Ralph Kiner hit that building.
And that would be a long way, folks.
That would be a poke. That would be, 600 feet maybe?
At least. Now, one thing that people always say, wow, look at that old brick wall out there. Must have been a long way to hit a home run. But actually, where the pitcher's mound is now used to be home plate, and I believe they had seats there kind of where the batter's box is now. They had some more seats there.
So it wouldn't be quite as far.
But still, to hit it across the street.
Poke. Yeah, it's still a poke.
And you mentioned great names like that. One that sticks out to me as I look back is Bob Uecker, who played in the 50s. And he's also the Brewers broadcaster now. And I always love him as Harry Doyle in Major League, just a bit outside. But
you got a great voice.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I guess I'm in the right field then. But he played on the Evansville Braves, and Bill McCune, who will be back with us this season as our color commentator, actually played on the 57 Braves as well. But just I say it makes us older than anything. The fact that the ballpark's been around that long, but you have 99 of 310 baseball Hall of Famers. Maybe it's 313 with this last class going in now. Has played or been announced at Bosse Field. I mean, going all the way back to Honus Wagner in the early days, which is the most valuable baseball card on the market.
Yep.
I mean, all these great names that you've mentioned. And that's the one thing that, a little bit different now with the Frontier League. It's not affiliated ball, but you still see these names, and you kind of realize, wow, it's not just going to a baseball game. It's kind of a step back in time.
Yeah.
And you go back to, we had a White Sox AA team here in the 60s. Reggie Jackson played here, I believe, for Birmingham.
And people don't realize the Detroit Tigers back in the 40s held their spring training here. I'm not sure exactly what's so spring-like about Evansville in February and March, but I guess they found it. So
the Cubs actually held their spring training in French Lick back, in the 30s or something.
Well, back then too, you couldn't just fly over to Arizona.
Right.
You're taking a long train ride. It made sense just to go as far south. And Evansville, it's maybe like 40 degrees here, not 28 like it is in Chicago. This will work. So.
As Lucas and I are acting like we're talking in our living room, so again, this is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. We are still on the air, by the way. So, let's. Lucas,
you all can tell how much I know about baseball, right? Because I'm just nodding.
You've been quiet. That race you've been wanting. This is not looking good for you. You're not contributing.
My nods don't count.
Lucas, we were talking earlier, and. What do the Otters have been so successful here? More so attendance-wise, more so in the Triplets, more so than any team has been. What do you attribute that success for the longevity?
I think one of the things that people maybe realized after the Triplets left is, everybody said, wow, we lost the baseball team. But to keep a baseball team, to keep any sports team across any league, any city, you got to have attendance. So if you want a team to stay there, it's nice to read about them in the paper and to listen to them on the radio, which I hope people do listen on the radio.
And what station would that be, Lucas?
Yeah, that'll be the University of Evansville station, WUEV 91.5. So if you're looking, I know there will be a couple games maybe early on where the Aces are still playing their games. So we will still have an online stream of that, and you can find all that information on the website. But
and that website is
evansvilleotters.com. We'll have all the broadcast information coming out. Once we get a little bit closer to season, though we're getting close, but probably right there as we're getting ready to go on air. But going back to your point about what is it that keeps the Evansville Otters so successful,
right.
I think it is that attendance where people say, we lost the Triplets, but we like having baseball in town. And there's those gaps in time where Evansville did not have teams and Bosse Field sat dormant, and people said, you know what, let's just go. It's a nice night out. And, as busy as people get, especially during summer with taking kids out to their own baseball games, different sporting events, things like that, it just makes sense to have some relaxing time to just kind of ease back and, enjoy America's pastime.
And there's a lot of companies that rent, do you guys call them the party decks?
Yeah, the Bud Light Lime patio out there. I know I'm going to be talking to Charlie, trying to get him out there, see if I can't yank him out.
We were talking. We're going to do something, but you should come in with us on this.
Well, yeah.
It's a great time. I mean, we have several different locations, and some people are kind of surprised. Oh, I didn't realize you had this. We have our party deck out there in center field, and the left and the right field we have tent picnics, which have a lot of space for spreading out, eating, enjoying a good time. And even a little bit closer to the action, we have our field box picnics right there behind the bullpen, which if you know anything about baseball, those bullpen guys they have some crazy antics out there, and they're just fun to be around.
We've done those tent picnics with the company before, and we've done the bullpen thing before down there. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
And one thing too, I think that also makes the Otters a little bit different with it being in the Frontier League. We're able to sign some local guys, and that really is one thing that connects with the community. Like for example, Connor Porter, he's going to be on our team this year, Castle graduate. Wade McNabb, he played at Memorial, and even another tri-state product, Shane Weedman, coming from Tell City. So you get those local boys to play here, and it gives the fans the extra incentive. Let's see what they're doing now after they get done at college. They're back in town, and it's something that fans really have told us about. Hey, if there's a spot and you got a good enough player from the area, let's see if we can't get him on the team.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously. But the Otters have just had some crazy attendance numbers over the last few years.
Yeah, and we're expecting to eclipse 100,000 this season. I mean, especially when you win a Frontier League championship, you win that, there's a little bit of a buzz around the city. People are excited, and another thing too, and as you know, going to Cardinals games and stuff like that, when you go to a pro game, there's not all that stuff going on in between the innings. One thing we pride ourselves on is the entertainment value, the sumo suits, all the different crazy, wacky promotions that keep people entertained and make it a family affair.
And speaking of promos, have you got some great promo nights coming up this year, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, the one as we mentioned, Jacobs Village is our exhibition. That's a good one. Education Day, we're expecting to have a ton of schools come out for that. That'll be on May 10th. It's one of our 2-day games we have during the year.
So it's an afternoon game where they can cut class, right?
Yeah, the kids are going to love that.
Kids, I mean, you all want to really push that one, okay? What's that date again?
That's May 10th.
May 10th, kids. Push that one hard.
Tell your teachers to bring out. May 19th is our home opener, and that whole weekend, 19th, 20th, 21st, will be a championship weekend. We're going to be giving out the rings. Of course, every Friday night is fireworks night. And the big one I'm really excited for is August 12th. It's going to be Military Appreciation Night. Free admission for any active duty military member or for any veteran that has served. So we're going to be giving free admission. They're also going to get $1 off on every game other than that. And we're really excited to be partnering with the VA clinic. They're going to be sponsoring that night, trying to get the Armory to bring out some different military vehicles. And it should really be a special night, especially to kind of honor those who have served.
With tickets, is the public able to go ahead and buy season tickets?
Yeah, we have all of our tickets now are available for purchase. So whether you need season tickets, single game tickets are on sale. We have our group tickets. So if you have a group of 10 or more, you can get a $1 discount, $4 group tickets. So if you need any kind of tickets or you're looking, as we mentioned, for one of those picnic areas, you can give us a call at 812-435-8686. We'd be happy to set you up, or stop by Bossy Field. We've got people in the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So, it's like I said, get as many fans out there as possible. We are filling up on some of those picnic dates. So if you're looking to do that with a group, give us a call.
So what else? I mean, as far as about the Otters this year, what is it that you know from being on the inside that you'd like for the public to know?
Well, I think the one thing that some people have maybe noticed is that in the past, you mentioned attendance. We've had great attendance, and then last year it dipped a little bit, but then we won the championship. I think the one thing that we want people to know is that we're working hard to get out in the community, and everybody says Evansville Otters, but I like to think of it as kind of more or less just a community affair. It's not just Evansville. It's Boonville, Chandler, Fort Branch, going out to Mount Vernon, even down to Henderson, Newburgh, everywhere in the area, trying to get people to realize we don't just want this to be an Evansville thing. We want this to be a community thing, all the way up even to Princeton. And we've called people in Vincennes, and people say, you know what? It's a little bit cheaper than going maybe out to St. Louis or going to do something hockey-wise, maybe down in Nashville. And so they enjoy it. It's a little bit more affordable, and it's still baseball. And that's what I love about it, that, when it comes May 19th, that regular season opener, you're still going to walk in and smell the fresh cut grass. You're going to smell the popcorn, The beer is going to be flowing, which also Thirsty Thursdays on Tuesday.
That's what I was thinking
on
of.
Thursdays, $2 beer night.
You got Evie right there. It's
College kids love that. Don't understand why, but
Evie's not a college kid, by the way. Okay, anybody out there?
In my heart, I
In
am.
in your heart, you are. We have done this completely in reverse, but Lucas, this being your first year with the Otters, you are recently out of college, right?
yeah. So you mentioned the college guys like the beer, and then all of a sudden now here you're throwing me under the bus.
I know. Well,
No, yeah.
It's what,
Graduated from IU back in December. Had a chance when I went to high school back at Floyd Central, which some people know, Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, down near Louisville. We had a really great radio TV program, had a great mentor there that kind of got me on the right track in broadcasting. Went to Indiana, called everything. I mean, soccer, all the way up, called some men's basketball games, women's basketball, traveled around with the volleyball and the softball teams with working for the athletic department. That was a lot of fun. Even tried my hand at a hockey game once. That one didn't go so well. We don't have hockey in Louisville, and it's bad when they call icing, and that's one of the most basic rules of the game. You're like, hey, what just happened?
there was an author who has unfortunately died at a young age, Louis Grizzard. He was a columnist for the Atlanta Constitution. Very funny guy. A lot of books out of his columns. But he talked about listening to hockey. He was traveling, listening to hockey on the radio. He says, like listening to the new News from Mars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I even told you this when we were at the home show about how it was Al Michaels with the "Do You Believe in Miracles" call. And the only reason he even called that game was because during the Olympics, they said, hey, has anybody called a hockey game? And Al Michaels saw no one was raising. He's like, I've called one. They said, good, you're on it. Because no one else had called a hockey game before.
Wow.
And that led to one of the most famous calls in all sports.
So what got you from Indiana to the Otters?
Well, originally I had planned on.
The Otters are in Indiana. I meant University of Indiana.
Yes.
I had a job offer up in Marquette, Michigan, which, talk about as far north as you can go. That's on Lake Superior. And I said, well, there's stepping outside of your comfort zone or there's leaping out. And that was not going to work to start right out of college, just isolation up there. And so I kind of sat back and said, I trust my resume, and I found this opening with the Evansville Otters in sales, and they said, well, hey, your resume also says broadcasting. You can do both here if you want to. And I said, sounds like a plan. So it's close to Indiana. It's close to home. Nice place to start off, and I'm really starting to like Evansville a lot as a city. And like I said, meeting the people out in the community makes it all the more fun.
And it's it's closer to St. Louis and Chicago, so you can become a Cardinals fan.
I don't know about that.
Bobby G's headed that way. I can tell.
That's
I'm gonna convert him. I'm gonna convert Bobby. Yeah, but so long-term plan for you, Lucas. I'm sure. The Otters are great, but you don't want to be the voice of the Otters forever.
Well, I don't know. You get yourself into the Evansville Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
A great city.
I didn't say anything bad about Evansville, but maybe he's the next. Mike Shannon.
Pat Hughes.
Not Mike. Yeah, Pat Hughes.
Harry.
Mike Shannon's not a good
Hey,
example.
folks, Harry Carey here.
Or you're the next Jack Buck, or something like that.
And we will see you tomorrow night.
Yeah.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I love Evansville, and I was joking around with my parents. Originally, it was maybe stay here 2 to 3. And now it's maybe 5, and then we'll see where it kind of goes. And I think that's the thing. Start off here, stay a while if I like it, and really no set plans on when or where I'll go. But that's kind of the nice thing. There's uncertainty, but there's always room to grow.
When you decide to stay and decide
I know
to
were
buy
this is
a
going.
house, I know a perfect guy to set you up with to find you a house.
Absolutely. And Lucas, you were
supposed to back me up on that with
I
financing.
Well, I was going to give myself a promo,
Okay.
but we're running out of time
Go
here
for it.
now. Okay. So Lucas or anyone else out there can call the Charlie Butler team at 812-499-7758. Quickly, Lucas, before we let you go, how can anyone that wants to rent a party deck, whatever, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, as I said, call 812-435-8686. Ask for Lucas, or you can shoot me an email at lcorley, that's Corley, at evansvilleotters.com. Be happy to set you up.
Lucas Corley, thank you very much.
Thank
today.
you.
Appreciate it.
being on.
Evie, I think we got to go, don't we? Yeah, Bobby's shaking yes, we got to go. So for Evie Barr, this is Charlie Butler. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler. Join us every week at this time to find out how to sell your home quickly and for more money. For more information, email cbutler@kw.com or visit charliebutlerteam.com.